Hey guys, it's Miss Slobodian back with another reading from Wonder. This is video number 16, so if you are following along, thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. In last video, we started part 6, which was Augie's part, and it was all in Augie's point of view. In that part, we found out that he had actually found out why Via didn't want him to come to her school play. He realized that it was because she didn't want all her high school friends or acquaintances seeing his face. You can have your own thoughts on why she didn't want him there, but really she said it was because she didn't want to be known as the sister of the kid who had a face that way, because people only knew her as that and always talked about her, and she just didn't want that to be the case in high school. So it may sound a little shallow, but I do kind of get where Via is coming from. So Via and Augie and their mom had a little bit of a fight at the dinner table. Augie ran to his room, and then we found out that their dog Daisy was really sick, and basically that she was dying. And so their mom took her right to the vet, but they told Augie and Via to say goodbye because they thought she probably wasn't coming back. So it was a really sad chapter, and I think this chapter is going to be just as sad. It is titled Daisy's Toys, and it is on page 223. So yeah, it's probably going to be sad, I would think. Justin came over about half an hour later. He gave me a big hug and said, "Sorry, Augie." We all sat down in the living room, not saying anything. For some reason, Via and I had taken all of Daisy's toys out from around the house, and we put them in a little pile on the coffee table. Now, we just stared at the pile. "She really is the greatest dog in the world," said Via. "I know," said Justin, rubbing Via's back. "She just started whimpering, like all of a sudden," I said. Via nodded. "Like 2 seconds after you left the table," she said. "Mom was going to go after you, but Daisy just started, whimpering." "Like how?" I said. "Just whimpering." "I don't know," said Via. "Like howling?" I asked. "Augie, like whimpering," she said impatiently. "She just started moaning, like everything was hurting her, and then she was panting like crazy, and then she just kind of plopped down, and Mom went over and tried to pick her up and whatever, and she was obviously hurting. She bit Mom." "What?" I said. "When Mom tried to touch her stomach, Daisy bit her hand," Via explained. "Daisy doesn't bite anyone," I answered. "She wasn't herself," said Justin. "She was obviously in pain." "Daddy was right," said Via. "We shouldn't have let it get this bad." "What do you mean?" I said. "He knew she was sick?" "Augie, Mom's been taking her to the vet like 3 times in the last 2 months. She's been throwing up left and right. Haven't you noticed?" "But I didn't know she was sick." Via didn't say anything, but she put her arm around my shoulders and pulled me in closer to her. I started crying again. "I'm sorry, Augie," she said softly. "I'm really sorry about everything, okay? You forgive me? You know how much I love you, right?" I nodded. Somehow that fight didn't matter much anymore. "Was Mommy bleeding?" I asked. "It was just a nip," said Via. "Right there." She pointed to the bottom of her thumb to show me exactly where Daisy had bit Mom. "Did it hurt?" "Mommy's okay, Augie. She's fine." Mom and Dad came home 2 hours later. We knew the second they opened the door that Daisy wasn't with them, and Daisy was gone. We all sat in the living room around the pile of Daisy's toys. Dad told us what happened at the animal hospital, how the vet took Daisy for some x-rays and blood tests, and came back and told them she had a huge mass in her stomach. She was having trouble breathing. Mom and Dad didn't want her to suffer, so Daddy picked her up in her arms, like he always does, with her legs straight up in the air, and he and Mom kissed her goodbye over and over again and whispered to her while the vet put the needle into her leg. And then after a minute, she died in Daddy's arms. It was so peaceful, Daddy said. She wasn't in any pain at all. Like she was going to be asleep. A couple of times while we talked, Daddy's voice got trembly and he cleared his throat. Sounds like me. I've never seen Dad cry before, but I saw him cry tonight. I had gone into Mom and Dad's room looking for Mom to put me to bed, but saw Dad sitting on the edge of the bed, taking off his socks. His back was to the door, but he didn't know I was there. At first I thought he was laughing because his shoulders were shaking, but then he put his palms to his eyes and I realized he was crying. It was the quietest crying I ever heard, like a whisper. I was going to go over to him, but then I thought maybe he was whisper crying because he didn't want me or anyone else to hear him. So I walked out and went to Via's room, and I saw Mom lying next to Via on the bed, and Mom was whispering to Via, who was crying. So I went to my bed and put my pajamas on without anyone telling me to put the nightlight on or to turn the light off, and I crawled into my little mountain of stuffed animals I had left in my bed earlier. It felt like it all had happened a million years ago. I took my hearing aids off and put them on the night table and pulled the covers up to my ears and imagined Daisy snuggling with me, her big wet tongue licking my face all over like it was her favorite face in the world. And that's how I fell asleep. Okay, so another really sad chapter. I think we kind of expected that to happen, but still really sad. One thing that stood out to me with this chapter is when Via was talking about Daisy being sick for quite a while. I think she said the last 2 months. And Augie seemed almost a little confused. He was like, oh, how did you know she was sick? And Via basically said, how have you not noticed? So why do you think Augie didn't really notice that Daisy had been sick for that long? Do you think he was kind of in his own little world because of school? Why do you think he didn't notice? And yeah, very sad chapter. If you can relate to an incident like this, I'm sorry, it's very tough. I have some experience with that. It's very tough. Hopefully it gets a little better, but this is titled Heaven. Might be sad again. And it is on page 226. I woke up later on and it was still dark. I got out of bed and walked into Mom and Dad's room. Mommy, I whispered. It was completely dark, so I couldn't see that her eyes were open. Mommy, you okay, honey? She said groggily. Can I sleep with you? Mom scooted over towards Daddy's side of the bed, and I snuggled up next to her. She kissed my hair. Is your hand okay? I said. Via told me Daisy bit you. It was only a nip, she whispered in my ear. Mommy, I started crying. I'm sorry about what I said. Shh. There's nothing to be sorry about, she said. So quietly, I could barely hear her. She was rubbing the side of her face against my face. Is Via ashamed of me? I said. No, honey, no. You know she's not. She's just adjusting to a new school. It's not easy. I know. I know you know. I'm sorry I called you a liar. Go to sleep, sweet boy. I love you so much. I love you so much too, Mommy. Good night, honey, she said very softly. Mommy, is Daisy with Grands now? I think so. Are they in heaven? Yes. Do people look the same when they go to heaven? I don't know. I don't think so. Then how do people recognize each other? I don't know, sweetie. She sounded tired. They just feel it. You don't need your eyes to love, right? You just feel it inside of you. That's how it is in heaven. It's just love, and no one forgets who they love. She kissed me again. Now go to sleep, honey. It's late, and I'm so tired. But I couldn't go to sleep. Even after I knew she had fallen asleep. I could hear Daddy sleeping too, and I imagined I could hear Via sleeping down the hallway in her room, and I wondered if Daisy was sleeping in heaven right now. And if she was sleeping, was she dreaming about me? And I wondered how it would feel to be in heaven someday and not have my face matter anymore. Just like it never, ever mattered to Daisy. That's the great thing about dogs. So I think Daisy was really important to Augie because she was the only one who didn't know that he was different and who loved him despite anything, licked his face, didn't think about anything like that. So she was very special to him for sure. Okay, this chapter is called Understudy, and it is on page 228. Via brought home 3 tickets to her school play a few days later, after Daisy died. We never mentioned the fight we had had over dinner again. On the night of the play, right before she and Justin were leaving to go to school early, she gave me a big hug and told me she loved me and she was proud to be my sister. This was the first time in Via's new school. It was much bigger than her old school, and 1,000 times bigger than my school. More hallways, more room for people. The only really bad thing about my bionic Lobot hearing aids was the fact that I couldn't wear a baseball cap anymore. In situations like these, baseball caps come in really handy. Sometimes I wish I could still get away with wearing that old astronaut helmet I used to wear when I was little. Believe it or not, people would think seeing a kid in an astronaut helmet was a lot less weird than people seeing my face. Anyway, I kept my head down as I walked behind Mom through the long, bright hallways. We followed the crowd to the auditorium, where students handed out programs at the front entrance. We found seats in the 5th row, close to the middle. As soon as we sat down, Mom started looking inside her pocketbook. "I can't believe I forgot my glasses," said Mom. Dad shook his head. Mom was always forgetting her glasses, or her keys, or something else. She is flaky that way. "You want to move closer?" said Dad. Mom squinted at the stage. "No, I can see okay." "Speak now or forever hold your peace," said Dad. "I'm fine," answered Mom. "Look, there's Justin," I said to Dad, pointing to Justin's picture in the program. "That's a nice picture of him," he answered, nodding. "How come there's no picture of Via?" I said. "She's an understudy," said Mom. "But look, here's her name." "Why do they call her an understudy?" I said. "Wow, look at Miranda's picture," said Mom said to Dad. "I don't think I would have even recognized her." "Why do they call her an understudy?" I repeated. "It's what they call someone who replaces an actor if they can't perform for some reason," answered Mom. "Did you hear Martin's mom got remarried?" Dad said to Mom. "Are you kidding me?" Mom answered like she was surprised. "Who's Martin?" I asked. "Miranda's father," Mom answered and said to Dad, "Who told you?" "I ran into Miranda's mother on the subway. She's not happy about it. She has a new baby on the way and everything." "Wow," said Mom, shaking her head. "What are you guys talking about?" I said. "Nothing," answered Daddy. "But why do they call it an understudy?" I said. "I don't know, Augie Doggy," Daddy said. "Maybe because the actors kind of study under the main actors or something. I really don't know." I was going to say something else, but then the lights went down. The audience got very quiet very quickly. "Daddy, can you please not call me Augie Doggy anymore?" I whispered in Dad's ear. Dad smiled, nodded, and gave me a thumbs up. The play started. The curtains opened. The stage was completely empty except for Justin, who was sitting on an old rickety chair tuning his fiddle. He was wearing an old-fashioned type suit and a straw hat. "This play is called Old Town," he said to the audience. "It is written by Thornton Wilder, produced and directed by Philip Davenport. The name of the town is Governor's Corner, New Hampshire, just across the Massachusetts line. Latitude 42 degrees, 40 minutes, longitude 70 degrees, 37 minutes. The first act, a day in our town. The day is May 7th, 1901. The time is just before dawn." I knew right then and there that I was going to like the play. It wasn't like the other plays that I've been to, like The Wizard of Oz or Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. No, this was a grown-up play, and I felt smart sitting there watching it. A little later in the play, a character named Mrs. Webb calls out for her daughter, Emily. I knew from the program that that was Miranda's character, so I leaned forward to get a better look at her. "That's Miranda," Mom whispered to me, squinting at the stage when Emily walked out. "She looks so different." "It's not Miranda," I whispered. "It's Via." "Oh my God," said Mom, lurching forward in her seat. "Shh," said Dad. "It's Via," Mom whispered to him. "I know," whispered Dad, smiling. "Shh." Okay, so what are your thoughts? Why is it Via? What do you think happened to Miranda? And we learned something about Miranda in this chapter that I think is quite significant. So it said that her dad, whose name is Martin, just divorced her mom or left her mom, who was pregnant with a new baby. So that might be why Miranda is acting the way that she's acting. That could really affect her. And maybe that is why there's that really big shift in her appearance and just her personality and everything. Maybe that's just a thought. Okay, so this is called The Ending, and it is on page 231. The play was so amazing. I don't want to give away the ending, but it's kind of an ending that makes people in the audience teary. Mom totally lost it when Via, as Emily said, "Goodbye, goodbye, world. Goodbye, Governor's Corners, Mama and Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking and Mama's sunflowers and coffee and food and new iron dresses and hot baths and sleeping and waking up. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anyone to realize you." Via was actually crying when she was saying this. like real tears. I could see them rolling down her cheeks. It was totally awesome. After the curtain closed, everyone in the audience started clapping. Then the actors came out one by one. Via and Justin were the last ones out, and when they appeared, the whole audience rose to their feet. "Bravo!" I heard Dad yelling through his hands. "Why is everyone getting up?" I said. "It's a standing ovation," said Mom, clapping. So I got up and clapped and clapped. I clapped until my hands hurt. For a second, I imagined how cool it would be to be Via and Justin right now, having all these people standing up and cheering for them. I think there should be a rule that everyone in the world should get a standing ovation at least once in their lives. Finally, after I don't know how many minutes, the line of actors on stage stepped back and the curtain closed in front of them. The clapping stopped and the lights went up and the audience started getting up to leave. Me and Mom and Dad were on our way to the backstage. Crowds of people were congratulating the performers, surrounding them, patting them on the back. We saw Via and Justin at the center of the crowd, smiling at everyone, laughing and talking. "Via!" shouted Dad, waving as he made his way through the crowd. When he got close enough, he hugged her and lifted her off the floor. "You were amazing, sweetheart." "Oh my God, Via!" Mom was screaming with excitement. "Oh my God, oh my God." She was hugging Via so hard I thought Via would suffocate, but Via was laughing. "You were brilliant," said Dad. "Brilliant," said Mom, kind of nodding and shaking her head at the same time. "And you, Justin," said Dad, shaking Justin's hand and giving him a hug at the same time. "Were fantastic." "Fantastic," Mom repeated. She was honestly so emotional she could barely talk. "What a shock to see you there, Via," said Dad. "Mom didn't even recognize you at first," I said. "I didn't recognize you," said Mom, her hand over her mouth. "Miranda got sick right before the show started," said Via, all out of breath. "There wasn't even time to make an announcement. I have to say she looked kind of strange because she was wearing all this makeup that I've never seen her like before." "And you just stepped right in there last minute," said Dad. "Wow." "She was amazing, wasn't she?" said Justin, an arm around Via. "There wasn't a dry eye in the house," said Dad. "Is Miranda okay?" I said, but no one heard me. At that moment, a man who I thought was their teacher came over to Justin and Via, clapping his hands. "Bravo, bravo, Olivia and Justin." He kissed Via on both cheeks. "I flubbed a couple of lines," said Via, shaking her head. "But you got through it," said the man, smiling ear to ear. "Mr. Davenport, these are my parents," said Via. "You must be so proud of your girl," he said, shaking their hands with his both of his hands. "We are. And this is my little brother August," said Via. He looked like he was about to say something, but suddenly froze when he looked at me. "Mr. D," said Justin, pulling him by the arm. "Come meet my mom." Via was about to say something to me, but then someone else came over and started talking to her. And before I knew it, I was kind of alone in the crowd. I mean, I knew where Mom and Dad were, but there were so many people around us, and people kept bumping into me, spinning me around a bit, giving me a 1-2 look, which made me feel kind of bad. I don't know if it was because I was feeling hot or something, but I kind of started getting dizzy. People's faces were blurry in my head, and their voices were so loud it was almost hurting my ears. I tried to turn the volume down on my Lobot ears, but I got confused and turned them louder instead, which kind of shocked me. And then I looked up and I didn't see Mom, Dad, or Via anywhere. "Via!" I yelled out. I started pushing through the crowd to find Mom. "Mommy!" I really couldn't see anything but people's stomachs and ties all around me. "Mommy!" Suddenly, someone picked me up from behind. "Look who's here," said a familiar face, hugging me tight. I thought it was Via at first, but when I turned around, I was completely surprised. "Hey, Major Tom," she said. "Miranda," I answered, and I gave her the tightest hug I could give. Okay, so I did say that the last part was part 6 and it was all Augie. I was wrong. The next part is part 7 and it is Miranda. I totally just skipped this and didn't see it. So we're finally going to learn what is up with Miranda. Why is she acting the way that she is? Why is she treating Via the way that she is? What is going on there? We're gonna figure it out, I'm pretty sure, in this part. But that's it for my reading today because may as well stop at this part. But what are your thoughts about what happened? Why do you think Miranda did it on purpose, or do you think she was really sick? That's my question. Do you think maybe she chickened out? Do you think maybe she wanted to give Via that role? Why do you think Miranda didn't show up? Part of me thinks it might be intentional, but we'll probably find out in this part. I really hope you enjoyed it and you're enjoying the book. We do not have much left, you guys. We only have this much. I don't know if you can see that. We only have this much left and we have read that much. So we are almost done. I'm gonna be sad when we're done because I love this book, but I'm really excited to watch the movie after and see how well they did it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.